It's the SKOR North Twins Show.
Hey, SKOR North Twins Show, extra innings. Dex here for another quick solo update. Twins making some more roster cuts. Figured I'd update you guys on those, plus some other notes that are trickling in from Twins spring training. We'll touch on some Pablo Lopez concerns that I see floating around there. Some Louie Varland in the second base update. So, quick little update for you here on an extra innings episode of the SKOR North Twins Show. And again, thank you to everyone who has supported the SKOR North Twins Show. If you haven't already, hit the like button and the subscribe button. If this is something you have been watching and you want to learn more about, best thing you can do, hit the like button, subscribe button as we get closer to opening day. My name is Declan Goff. I'm the Twins Beat podcast reporter for SKOR North, entering my second season covering the team. I'm looking forward to opening day in St. Louis. So if this is something you like, appreciate that. Hit the like button, subscribe button on the audio side. Give us a 5-star rating and a positive review to continue to spread the word about the SKOR North Twins Show. We had an episode on Sunday detailing the first round of roster cuts. A few more have trickled in here today on Tuesday afternoon, evening. So I wanted to update you guys on that. Full SKOR North Twins Show on Thursday with Mackie and Judd as well. So stick around for that. I saw in the YouTube comment section a bunch of listeners giving feedback about how they love visuals on the screen. And that's something I'm going to provide for you on this episode and hopefully future episodes of especially the solo editions of the SKOR North Twins Show, where it's just my beautiful face on the screen and you'd like to see some visuals. So I will flash those up here periodically throughout the episode. So let's start with those roster cuts. So the Twins are now down to 45 players at Twins spring training camp. Ryan Jensen, Andrew Morris, and Diego Cartaya have all been optioned off the spring training roster. You'll see Diego Cartaya, he's optioned to AAA, and then reassigned to minor league camp. That's Ryan Jensen and Andrew Morris. That doesn't mean that those guys won't wind up in AAA. In fact, I envision Andrew Morris being with the St. Paul Saints opening day rotation. These guys are just remaining in minor league camp, where Diego Cartaya will report to the St. Paul Saints. Cartaya was the former number one prospect from the Dodgers that the Twins acquired earlier this year. More catching depth prospect, a guy that might be able to still save his career. We'll see what happens with the Saints. He hasn't really been able to hit. That's been the biggest thing. Obviously, when you're the number one prospect in the Dodgers, it does mean an awful lot, but he still has yet to really find his bat. So fun guy to maybe watch with the St. Paul Saints CHS field. I went into detail about Andrew Morris on a few podcasts ago, just about my intrigue there. He's one of their top pitching prospects. He did pitch today against the Toronto Blue Jays before being reassigned. Some really quality stuff there from Andrew Morris that I'm intrigued by. Won't see it on the screen, but he has a fastball cutter mix, but a fastball that tops out at about 96. He mixes in that cutter at about 91. He threw 40 pitches today. Got some swings and misses. 6 swings and misses, true, on those 40 pitches. But a guy that should be potentially making his major league debut if the Twins do need him. They have an arsenal of pitchers. You're seeing guys go down like flies right now. Garrett Cole is going to have Tommy John surgery, which is a huge bummer to the Yankees. Or I guess if you don't like the Yankees, you probably are wishing for it, unfortunately. Lucas Giolito, the Red Sox, who Boston has had a very busy and active offseason. He's going to miss time. So again, knock on the wood. Be any superstitious or little stitious as you'd like to be, Michael Scott, with the Twins not really facing a major injury yet in spring training. I know everyone's holding their breath on the core three players in Correa, Buxton, and Lewis to not be injured. So far, all good things for the Twins early on in spring training, but that was your first round of roster cuts. I believe the roster now sits at 45 players, so more cuts will trickle in throughout the next coming days and weeks before the Twins report and have opening day against the St. Louis Cardinals. I will be in Busch Stadium for that, so super excited for that. But Twins roster now at 45 players at spring training. So Pablo Lopez got rocked around a little bit yesterday in his start. He has an ERA of like 9 in his 3 appearances, and I see some fans a little bit concerned. He did have a very rocky and roller coaster 2024 season. He carried an ERA north of 5 into mid-June. Analytics and field independent pitching and some of the underlying stats said there was actually a lot better pitcher in there than just like the true ERA indicated. You saw in the second half him make a lot of adjustments. So let me explain why, in my opinion at least, my uneducated, educated opinion, why I'm personally not concerned with these appearances from Pablo Lopez. I'll flash this on the screen for your YouTube audience. I'm going to show just two, I think, primary pitches to really watch from Pablo. That would be his fastball, which has seen a significant uptick in velocity from a year ago, which is, in my opinion, a great sign. Usually when a pitcher is breaking down or getting hit a lot, you usually will see velo and spin rates start to go down. That's not the case with Pablo Lopez. In fact, he's throwing more fastballs than he usually is, and that's what spring training's for. You're supposed to figure out things that maybe you can do to get outs, and Pablo talked a lot, and he's literally one of my favorite guys to talk to because he's a very intellectual dude and really goes into pitching and philosophy and using his head and using breathing and using a lot of these things that you wouldn't think a pitcher or even an athlete really think about so much. Pablo does. So that fastball is actually up in velocity. You're seeing it near like 97, which is, I think, a really cool sign. But the sweeper here, I think this is what I am curious, because if he gets this pitch right again, he's going to be just as effective as he was in 2023 over the course of a longer season. So that sweeper for Pablo Lopez in 2023 was a pitch he started throwing for the first time, and it was great. Hitters could not hit it at all. It was a great pitch for him. Last season, a book got out of it, and hitters figured out how to bop it around, and it was one of his most hit pitches last year. He got in trouble a lot with it. So that sweeper velocity is also up this year. That spin rate is in a good spot. So I think he needs to figure out ways, and Pablo talked about it after the game, of getting what's called kill counts. So those kill counts are those 0-2, the 1-2s, the counts that are incredibly pitcher-friendly, the ones that statistically say you are going to get out more times than not at like a 90% rate. And he was throwing more fastballs. He's tinkering with some things here and there. So personally, I'm not concerned with Pablo Lopez's poor outings early on in spring training. He's going to be the Twins' ace. Now, if this carries into the regular season again, and maybe it's a situation where his ERA again is north of 5 and he's having trouble throwing that sweeper, then yes, he'll have to figure out kind of to go back to the drawing board, work with Pete Mackey, work with the pitching staff and the analytics to figure out what works and what doesn't work with that sweeper. But if you're asking my opinion, I wouldn't look too much into those spring training performances. Spring training is a time to try different things, try new things. Pablo's doing that. And to be honest, I would like a staff ace to still tinker with things that work and tinker with things that maybe he hasn't done before. That's the perfect time to do it. So if you're on the fence about Pablo, I guess this is my way of maybe talking you off that ledge a little bit. I wouldn't be too concerned with Pablo Lopez's poor performances. He's going to be a very integral part. He's starting opening day for the Twins. He's the leader of that pitching staff. He comes up with a lot of fun things to do also in the clubhouse, so I wouldn't have too much concern. Sticking on the pitching side, though, Louie Varland continues to show a lot of promise out of the bullpen this time, full-time out of the bullpen. Last year, they had him as a starter. They needed starter depth. I kind of get it. But at the end of 2023, you saw him flash in the bullpen with high velocity. I'll flash this on the YouTube screen. This was his pitch velocities in his appearance today out of the bullpen on Tuesday. You'll notice that fastball on the left side. And for my audio audience, I do apologize here if some of these things are going over your head. I'll try to explain this the best I can. But that fastball is topping out at about 97.5, which is about a half tick up from his average fastball velo last season. Now, when you're in the bullpen, pitchers, I've talked about this before, Griffin Jacks has, anyone who has transitioned from a full-time starter into the bullpen, you have a little bit more juice on those pitches, right? So that fastball's coming in hotter. That knuckle curve, that's the second pitch you see in the line. The velo on that is actually up significantly. It's up about 2.5 miles per hour, which I think is very encouraging for Louie Varland. So you need a bunch of pitch mixes. Is that the right words? And Louie Varland does have a lot in his arsenal. So fastball's going to be up. It looks like he was kind of, I would say, borderline to make the opening day roster. I think a lot of fans figured he would. And if you're asking me, I think I would have had him in the opening day roster. I think he's going to be in that bullpen, and he's a very intriguing guy. Like he might be down the pecking order because on paper this Twins bullpen is projected to be one of the best in all of baseball. But where he slides in, whether that's long relief, whether that's moving up the pecking order in hierarchy for bigger moments, we'll wait and see. But Louie Varland showing a lot of promise early on with those velos. I think it's a very encouraging thing to see Louie Varland. And again, Pablo Lopez doing the same thing. They're tinkering with stuff. They're building up strength. Again, for sound effects there, knocking on wood, no one has had a significant injury in spring training. And when your pitching staff, which the Twins actually have a pretty deep staff in AAA that we talked about with Andrew Morris, etc. David Festa, Zebby Matthews, those are good things. So the Twins have a lot of arsenals in their back pocket when they do have to call upon it. One other note here on an extra innings of episode of the SKOR North Twins Show. By the way, hit that like button and subscribe button here on the Twins Show YouTube channel. Getting closer to 5,000 subs. Appreciate that. A second base update. This seems to be still who is on. There's the expression "who's on first." Who's going to be on second for opening day for the Minnesota Twins? There's kind of three candidates that can get time there. It's Brooks Lee, it's Edward Julian, and it's, of course, their Swiss Army knife and Willie Castro, who can play almost anywhere and everywhere. So Brooks Lee has seen more time at shortstop. He's made 6 appearances there so far. He's also spent some time, though, at second. He's made 4 appearances at second base. Julian, on the other hand, he showed more promise early last year, I think, defensively, which was, I think, very encouraging. But then I think the game just really caught up to him mentally, and he was in a tough spot. Once that starts to happen, and you can't get some of those yips fielding. So he's spent more time at second base and first base. And then Castro has played all over. He's played 3 games at second, 3 games at shortstop. He has spent some time in left field. I think first base is like the only position that Willie hasn't, and obviously catcher where we haven't seen Willie Castro spend some time with. But this still seems like a work in progress. And even Mickey Gasper, who has maybe been their spring training darling because he's having a very nice results at spring training and games, but someone who has played a lot of positions and has spent time in the Red Sox and I believe the Yankees organization. He's mashed AAA, but is he just a quad A guy? Has he been blocked? I will say the switch hitting aspect. This team and this organization loves versatility, so a guy that can hit from the left side or the right side of the plate is stuff that is really valuable to them. He's probably, has he stuck around longer than I anticipated? Maybe. I would still probably give the benefit of the doubt to Lee or Julian to make the opening day roster over someone like Mickey Gasper, but what this kind of boils down to too, and I hate to sound like a broken record because I probably have talked about it before, and I'll probably talk about it a ton over the next few weeks before they break from camp, is it more beneficial for someone like Brooks Lee and or Edward Julian to go down to AAA and play every day? Like Brooks Lee's a switch hitter, which is good. Edward Julian's on the left side, but he can't hit lefties at all, and his glove's probably a little bit more behind, but his bat might be a little bit more reliable than Brooks Lee's, especially against right-handed pitching. So they got to figure out how that puzzle piece shakes out. Maybe both of them do make the opening day roster, but that second base side is still kind of up in the air. And to be honest, like whoever you see on opening day there, whether that's Julian, Lee, or Castro, like I wouldn't expect, and Rocco touched on this too, he was on the record saying, it's tough to really project someone to get 500 ABs at that position because they have versatile options there. And if Carlos Correa, heaven forbid, suffers another injury, Brooks Lee can play some short. So that's another one to watch as spring training kind of unwinds here. I wanted to update you guys on a quick little SKOR North Twin Show extra innings edition to just keep you up to date on everything. I'm super excited for the season. I know we've been at SKOR North, obviously super involved in football and Purple Daily, and it's been whirlwind this last week. And if you're a Vikings fan and Twins fan, great news. Go to Purple Daily. You probably have already consumed a lot of the episodes there as well, but we're getting closer to opening day, and I'm super excited to cover the team again. So any other news, breaking news, roster cuts, updates, etc., any trades that could happen? I meant to check with someone on this, but with the Yankees, suffering some pitching injuries, obviously to Garrett Cole, there was the weird stuff with Marcus Stroman. Is Chris Paddock someone that might be on the block? I feel like the Twins are reluctant to give up on Paddock right now, just because, again, you take one piece out of that starting rotation, and even though they do have the depth, and I think long-term, the options in AAA are much more intriguing to winning, a championship than what Chris Paddock gives you, but do they want to pull the plug off that? I think they'd only do that if they got a return that they really liked. They wouldn't sell low on Chris Paddock, even if Paddock has his question marks as it is. That's something to watch, though. I'll check in on that. Maybe I'll dig a little bit more on that because his name obviously was bandied about around trade rumors this offseason. So something to watch. just throw your reckless trade speculation ideas or roster ideas, honestly, in the YouTube comments section. I do read those. Like I said, I saw the feedback on the visuals. I'll try to sprinkle those in more. Obviously, when I'm flying solo here, I know it provides a little bit more of a better visual for the YouTube audience, for our podcast audience. Thank you so much, too. This was one of the first podcasts that when we launched SKOR North 6 years ago, when we were still on the radio, that was a big core of our show. We kind of had to table it for a little bit due to just lack of personnel. And now it's back. I'm super excited to be leading the charge here. And Trevor Plouffe, too, will be back in with us as well. Super excited to have Plouffe back with us. You'll find him on Twins broadcast this season. And in fact, I know a lot of fans have been asking about, even though Twins TV is official and you can go subscribe to it, what's the plan for, cable providers or satellite providers? I think we're probably going to touch on that most likely on a full Twins show. I know Judd has a lot of takes and thoughts. And to be honest, Judd has a lot of intel on that. So if you've been waiting and hoping and trying to figure out what the plan is for that, I mean, they are getting closer to opening day, and this is something that Major League Baseball, I know, is in charge of. This is kind of out of the Twins' hands. So if this is something the Twins fans can figure out how to have on their Xfinity packages or DirecTV packages locally, hopefully that is resolved. But appreciate everyone listening, supporting, watching the SKOR North Twins Show. Full SKOR North Twins Show coming up on Thursday. Like, rate, subscribe. Appreciate you guys.